Good morning. I'll now invite the Honourable Minister responsible for planning to grace us with prayers today.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Let us pray. Almighty God, from whom all wisdom and power are derived, we beseech thee so to direct and prosper the deliberations of the Legislative Assembly now assembled, that all things may be ordered upon the best and surest foundations for the glory of thy name and for the safety, honor, and welfare of the people of these islands. Bless our Sovereign Lady, Queen Elizabeth II, Philip, Duke of Edinburgh, Charles, Prince of Wales, and all the royal family. And give grace to all who exercise authority in our Commonwealth, so that peace and happiness, truth and justice, and religion and piety may be established among us. Especially now, we pray for the Governor of our islands, the Premier, the Speaker of the Legislative Assembly, the Leader of the Opposition, Ministers of the Cabinet, ex officio members, and members of the Legislative Assembly, that we may be enabled faithfully to perform the responsible duties of our high office. All this we ask for thy great name's sake. Let us say the Lord's Prayer together. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come. Thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. The Lord bless us and keep us. The Lord make his face shine upon us and be gracious unto us. The Lord lift up the light of his countenance upon us and give us peace now and always. Amen.
Amen. Please be seated.
Administration of oaths and affirmations.
None.
Reading by the Honourable Speaker of messages and announcements.
We have received apologies for the absence of the Deputy Speaker for today. Sorry, for the late arrival of the Deputy Speaker. I beg your pardon.
Presentation of petitions.
None.
Questions to Honourable Ministers and members of the Cabinet. The elected member for Northside to ask the Honourable Deputy Governor, ex officio member responsible for the portfolio of the Civil Service. Question number 27.
I recognise the Honourable Member from the District of Northside.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I beg to ask the Honourable Deputy Governor, ex officio member responsible for the portfolio of the Civil Service, the following question. Can the Honourable Deputy Governor, ex officio member say who and what was the subject of the video recorded by the senior manager at Her Majesty's Northwood Prison who was terminated for recording the video?
Recognise Honourable Deputy Governor.
Good morning, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, the answer. Madam Speaker, in response to media queries on the 2nd of November 2015, the Ministry of Home Affairs issued a statement which confirmed that following an internal investigation into allegations of covert video recording equipment having been placed in a prison employee's office, a senior manager's employment was concluded at Her Majesty's Northwood Prison. Persons conducting the investigation advised that the subject matter of the surveillance was a fellow senior manager within the prison services. I am further advised, Madam Speaker, that the footage taken during the covert surveillance did not yield anything of a suspicious or improper nature. Madam Speaker, it is related matters that have given rise to the disciplinary processes being undertaken in respect to a total of 3 prison employees. Madam Speaker, while the disciplinary process has concluded for 1 officer, the matter is ongoing for 2 other prison officers. As such, Madam Speaker, it is inappropriate to elaborate further on what remains an ongoing disciplinary issue.
If there are no supplementaries, the member from Eastern, followed by the Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I have a number of questions, but the first one is, can the official member tell us who conducted the investigation?
Honourable Deputy Governor.
Madam Speaker, it is my understanding that members of the Ministry of Home Affairs conducted the investigation.
Member from Eastern.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, can the official member tell us on whose instruction or on what statute could the ministry conduct those investigations?
Honourable Deputy Governor.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, the Director of Prisons, along with the Chief Officer for the ministry, were the ones responsible. And certainly the ministry as the authority responsible for the prison service has the authority to oversee matters of departments under its remit.
Member from Eastern.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, can the official member tell us what is the course of disciplinary action for prison officers as detailed in the prison law?
Honourable Deputy Governor.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, the process is set out very clearly in the prison law and regulations. The Director of Prison has oversight of his staff, and I understand what the member is getting at. The particular person that was is no longer with the service. The person who employed that person, who signed their contract, is the person who made the decision to dismiss that employee.
Honourable Member from Eastern.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I wonder if I didn't say it right. Maybe.
If you repeat
Let
it,
me
then
try.
you can take the wonderment out of that.
Yeah, if I repeat it. I want to know what the law says about disciplinary measures and who are to conduct disciplinary proceedings in accordance with the law.
Honourable Deputy Governor.
Madam Speaker, I'm not sure I'm following what the member is saying, but just to be very clear, there's an investigation and then there's a decision made on the HR side. It's 2 separate things completely. And Madam Speaker, I just want to assure the member that the ministry took all legal advice that was necessary, and it's our opinion that we have done things appropriately by the law, and if anyone is aggrieved with that decision, then they have a right to appeal. So that's the process set out, and that is the process that is being followed. We will see where the appeal goes, Madam Speaker.
Member from Easton.
Madam Speaker, I didn't ask what happened. I asked what is the process by statute for prison officers' discipline and investigation into their conduct.
Honorable Deputy Governor, certainly you're at liberty. 1 minute, please.
Madam Speaker, if I may, maybe I can clarify it by saying then, asking the official member, if it is not so that the prison law, the law, statute, requires the director of prison or his or her designate, to conduct investigations and apply discipline to prison officers.
Honorable Deputy Governor, before I call on you, I just want to give some guidance. Standing Order 22, subset 1F10. It sets out the conditions for questioning, and one of those conditions are that the answer to which can be found by reference to available official publications. So I would ask members to bear that in mind. I'm not saying, member from Easton, I'm not saying that he can't ask. All I'm saying is that when any member asks the question, ask it in a context that the law is a public publication, so you can ask to affirm, deny, was it in breach, along that line, not whether is that what the law say, because each member can apprise themselves to the provision of the law. Member from Easton.
Madam Speaker, I appreciate your clarification on that. But Madam Speaker, I am saying then that the law specifically says that the director has absolute authority over the conduct, the investigation of the conduct of any prison officer, and the discipline of any officer. The official member is saying that the ministry did it. And I am asking, who are changing the rules? Who has changed the statute in this country and it didn't come here to be changed? Can he answer that?
Honorable Deputy Governor,
Madam Speaker,
you can just 1 minute, please. I recognize you to respond, and members, for the public benefit, is obviously a very important question, procedural, and you may want to refresh it to section 38 as you respond. In the meantime, I'll recognize the Honorable Premier for the suspension of 23, 7, and 8 to, if it's the wish of the House, to extend question time beyond 11 a.m. Honorable Premier.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I beg to move the suspension of Standing Order 23, 7, and 8 in order that questions may be asked and answers given after the hour of 11 o'clock.
The question is that Standing Order 23, 7, and 8 be suspended to allow the extension of question time beyond the hour of 11 a.m. this morning. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those against, no. The ayes have it. Accordingly, Standing Order 23, 7, and 8 is hereby suspended. Recognize the Honorable Deputy Governor.
Yeah, Madam Speaker, thank you. Madam Speaker, I am not here to say that any law was changed. What I'm here to say is that the ministry took legal advice, made the appropriate investigation, made the decision that they thought was absolutely necessary. And our view is that no laws were broken. In fact, the laws were enforced and carried out. If anyone is aggrieved or feel differently, there is appeals process that's set out, and that's the way this matter should be resolved, Madam Speaker.
Member from Easton.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, can the member tell us then, since they took legal advice, on whose instruction, as a result of that legal advice, did the ministry get to conduct this investigation? Someone had to instruct someone else on the basis of that legal advice.
Honorable Deputy Governor.
Madam Speaker, I don't have all of those details. I'm happy to get it for the member.
I recognize the Honorable Leader of the Opposition.
Madam Speaker, this is a matter of procedure. Madam Speaker, and maybe you can clarify. A member asks a question, who is doing it to get information, and might be aggrieved because of the way so-called good governance was supposed to be carried out. Whether a decision is taken correctly or wrongly. And therefore, a member of this House cannot appeal the matter, but we do have a duty, a responsibility to inquire.
Members would be fully cognizant that Standing Order 20, which deals with questions, subset 1 says questions may be put to a member of the government relating to any subject or department for which he is responsible or with which he is officially connected. Questions may also be put to any other member relating to bill, motion, or public matter in connection with the business of the House for which such member is responsible. Subset 3, the proper object of a question is to obtain information or to ask for action. A question shall not be asked unless it is of an urgent character, relates to the business of the day, and member has leave of the presiding officer under notice of the question, which has been handed to the clerk no later than 10 days prior to the commencement of the meeting of the House at which it is sought to ask the question. I'm taking the liberty to go through this so that members can wrap their mind around what is transpiring here today. Content of the question, 22.1. The right to ask a question shall be subject to the following general rules as to the interpretation of which the presiding officer shall be the sole judge. A question shall not include a name of persons or any statement of fact unless they are necessary to render the question intelligible. If a question contains a statement of fact, the member asking it shall make himself responsible for the accuracy of the statement, and no question shall be based upon a newspaper report or upon an unofficial publication. A member shall not address the House upon any question, and no question shall be made a pretext for debate. Questions shall not be excessive in length. That one I'll read again. Questions shall not be of excessive length. Questions shall not contain argument, inference, opinion, imputation, or continuous epithets, or ironically or offensive expression. Questions shall not be asked which raises an issue already decided in the House, which has been answered fully during the current session, or to which the answer has been refused. Seeking information about matters which are in their nature secret. Regarding proceedings in a committee which have not been placed before the House by a report from that committee, which deals with matters referred to a commission of inquiry as to the character or conduct of any person except in his official or public capacity, reflecting on the decision of a court of law or being likely to prejudice a case under trial. reflecting on the character or conduct of any person whose conduct can only be challenged in a substantive motion under Standing Order 35. Asking whether statements of the press or of private individuals or unofficial bodies are accurate. Referring discourteously to or seeking information about internal affairs of any territory within the Commonwealth or a friendly foreign country. The answer to which can be found by reference to available official publications. Seeking for purposes of argument, information on matters of past history, or raising questions of policy too large to be dealt with within the limits of an answer. Questions shall not solicit expressions of opinion or the solution of an abstract legal question or to be hypothetical. And finally, if a presiding officer is of the opinion that any question of which a member has given notice to the clerk infringes any of the standing orders or in any way is an abuse of the right of questioning, he or she may direct the member concerned to be informed that a question is out of order or that a question be entered in order book with such alterations as he may direct. Obviously, we are dealing with supplementary questions, so you would have to adjust the conditions based on the fact that supplementary question requires no notice, but the chair still has a discretion. Recognize Honorable Leader.
Thank
of the
you.
Opposition. 1 minute, please. I recognize Honorable Leader of the Opposition, followed by the member from Northside after the Honorable Deputy Governor has responded to the member from East End.
Thank you.
1 minute, sir. Honorable Leader of the Opposition.
That's what it was?
Honorable Deputy Governor.
Madam Speaker, I've almost forgotten what the question was. Could I ask him to repeat it again, please?
Member from Easton, would you indulge the member and repeat your question?
Madam Speaker, the question was pursuant to the legal advice that was received, who instructed the ministry to do an investigation in contravention of the director being the responsible person contrary to the director being the responsible person to do investigation and discipline.
Honorable Deputy Governor.
Madam Speaker, my response is simple. The ministry, the director of prisons, everyone has followed the rules, the regulations, and the laws. They've followed appropriate legal advice and have now rendered a decision. That decision is subject to challenge, and we should allow that process to do it and not try to hear the appeal down here, ma'am.
Member from
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker.
Member from Easton.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Madam Speaker, you specifically read out the conditions under which the questions and answers, questions can elicit answers. And Madam Speaker, one of those is that if it's sub judice, it need not be answered. If he knows that it's sub judice, then he needs to make this house known, or he can't direct this house as to whether or not we're trying something here. I don't know whether it's review under judicial review or not. He needs to prove that. I don't know if it's sub judice or not. And Madam Speaker, obviously you don't know, since you didn't stop me from my line of questioning. And if such is the, he say it can be subject to review, judicial review or appeals or whatever, but nobody knows it's subject to judicial review or appeals, or it's going through that process. The information I want is information that cannot be gleaned from the newspaper. But the newspaper has prompted us to know that as a result of this investigation, one person has been terminated. Now, I am questioning on that person. I'm not questioning on further investigations, which may be illegal or otherwise. I'm questioning on the one that was in the papers, which I have the right to do. Now, I am asking who authorize the ministry or the staff of the ministry, pursuant to the legal advice, to conduct an investigation and carry out disciplinary measures.
Honorable Deputy Governor, under the question time has been extended, so the chair will take the liberty to speak when the members of the House are ready to listen. By virtue of Section 55 of the Constitution, there are certain reserved powers that are given to the governor, one of those being the civil service. However, under the standing orders, standing order 14, standing order 20 gives Standing Order 20 gives that inalienable right to members of the House to ask members of the government any questions relating to responsibility under their portfolio or respective ministries. Obviously, questions cannot go so far as to deal with matters that are considered sub judice or before the court. The onus is on the person, on the member put in that position out to prove that it is indeed before the court. If time is needed, the chair will allow that time. Members cannot ask question or direction who to hire, who not to hire, who to fire, as that is in contravention of the standing orders. But certainly, the chair rules that members have a liberty to ask questions about policy and procedure, or if there is breach or contravention of any laws. So, members, please be guided accordingly. I now recognize the Honorable Deputy Governor.
Madam Speaker, I am very happy, Madam Speaker. I did not decline to answer the question, although I believe I could have, but I understand that members have a right to answer these questions, to ask these questions. I understand very clearly what the Constitution says as well in terms of who has responsibility for civil service, but I am open to providing our elected leaders with the information that they would like to know. The issue that I have here, Madam Speaker, is that we are dealing with a disciplinary matter which certainly falls within the purview of the ministry and the director of prison, and that matter is ongoing. I have said that there are two other matters that are currently under investigation, and I received information just this morning that the matter that we are talking about now is under appeal. So we have ongoing matters that are being dealt with in the prescribed manner, and I'm very hesitant about answering questions that can impact the appeal, ma'am.
I recognize the member from Easton, and please take into consideration that your colleague from Northside has been waiting some time to ask a question.
I will, but he'll give me. Don't worry about that. Madam Speaker, the official member, the deputy governor, is saying that there has been an appeal. He received information this morning that is being appealed or judicial, whatever. Can he produce the evidence that that is recorded in the court? It is already in the court. That's the only way it can be considered sub judice.
Honorable Deputy Governor.
Madam Speaker, I'm not claiming sub judice or anything like that. I merely said that I was informed this morning that there was an appeal was being filed or had been filed. Madam Speaker, it can't be right for us to try and appeal a disciplinary matter in the Parliament. That cannot be right.
Madam Speaker, with all due respect
Member from Easton.
to the Deputy Governor, with all due respect, nobody's trying to try a case in here. I am merely asking the process that the government conducted during that investigation and discipline. There is no evidence before me to say that my questions are going to create sub judice. There is none. I am merely asking, which the standing orders gives me the right and the Constitution to find out the policy process and the processes within government that the people is entitled to know, and it's my responsibility to ask.
Honorable Deputy Governor.
Madam Speaker, there was an investigation. Evidence was collected. The person who was the suspect of the investigation was provided with the evidence. They were given a chance to respond, both in written form and orally, along with any representative or attorney they may have. After that, a decision was made. There was a process. We followed it. We have obtained legal advice. It is our belief in the civil service that we have done this entire process correctly.
The Honorable Leader of the Opposition.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker had raised a matter of procedure a while ago. I thought that was going to have precedence, but maybe I've understood the Deputy Governor to say that the appeal, he's not instructing us or saying that we should appeal, but that there is an appeal in process. That's what he's saying. So I guess that matter is covered. The question I do have, Madam Speaker, was the press given a statement in this matter? And can I inquire whether one person was dismissed? Is that the appeal that he's talking about?
Honorable Deputy Governor.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, the press did contact the ministry, and the ministry did, as a result of that, answer the questions, answer the press queries, and we saw that being reported. And yes, Madam Speaker, the person who was terminated, that is the subject of the appeal.
Member from Northside.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Through you to the Deputy Governor, can the Deputy Governor confirm whether the person who was the subject of the video is one of the other 2 prison employees currently under investigation?
Honorable Deputy Governor.
Madam Speaker, that is correct.
If there are no further supplementaries, can we move on to member from Northside?
Through you, Madam Speaker, can he say how long it is anticipated these investigations will continue before conclusion?
Honorable Deputy Governor.
Yes, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I am been assured as of earlier this morning that within a matter of weeks, both investigations will be concluded.
Madam Clerk, there appears to be no further supplementary. Next question.
The elected member for Northside to ask the Honourable Minister of Community Affairs, Youth and Sports, question number 28.
Honourable member from Northside.
Through you, Madam Speaker, I beg to ask the Honourable Minister responsible for Community Affairs, Youth and Sports the following question. Can the Honorable Minister of Community Affairs say when a community worker for Northside will be employed and commence work?
I recognize the Honorable Minister of Community Affairs, Youth and Sports.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Can you bear with me one moment, please?
Certainly.
Thanks for that, Madam Speaker. I just had a little mix up with my paperwork there. Madam Speaker, the answer to the question: a community development officer for Northside has been recruited and commenced duties effective 1st October 2015.
Member from Northside.
Through you, Madam Speaker, can the Minister confirm why this is such a military secret and where the person has been working since the 1st of October?
Honorable Minister for Community Affairs.
I have to smile, Madam Speaker. The member has a way with words. The community worker was taken on and she's been in training with the department. And I think in the very near future, she'll be in place doing what she has to do in the district. But she has been active, involved in a number of, I know the senior month, she was older person's month, she was very involved, she was at all the functions. And, where will she be? Okay, where, did you ask where she be stationed? Did you ask that question? Okay, well, there's no CDO office, as you know, but the person, just as Miss, what's her name, Delmira Borden does for East End and Borden Town, she'll be in the district active. But at this point, I don't think that she has started that part of her duties. I stand to be corrected.
The Honorable Member, did you have a follow-up from Northside?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Quite a
Then
few.
after the Honorable Leader of Opposition. Please proceed.
Through you, Madam Speaker. The Minister says that Ms. Delrira Borden is the person that is introducing her to Northside. Because that explains a lot then. I understand now why I don't know nothing about it. Because of the politics involved. Can the Minister confirm at what point will a public announcement be made of who the person is, where the person can be contacted, and how often the person is likely to be in the district available, particularly to senior citizens? For instance, was she introduced at the senior citizen thing in Northside as the new Northside community worker?
Honorable Minister responsible for Community Affairs.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, the department will be doing that in the very near future. She certainly was at the functions that I was at. She was, informally introduced. And just to clarify, she's not under the directives of Ms. Borden. She's under the directives of the department. And the acting director has assured me that an announcement will be made in that regard. She's an employee of the department.
I recognize the Honorable Leader of the Opposition.
Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Honorable Leader of the Opposition.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I would wish to ask the minister what he's doing about the other districts. Can West Bay?
Honorable Minister
But-
for Community Affairs. Sorry.
Just to say, are you saying that one is covering in the Eastern District, two districts? Okay.
Honorable Minister for Community Affairs.
Madam Speaker, West Bay does not have a assigned person at this point. The resources within the department will be used to assist the district. And in the new budget, we will be looking to have, my goal is to have a CDO in each district. But budget limitations have caused the situation we have now.
Honorable Leader of the Opposition.
Thank you. Madam Speaker, is the minister giving a commitment that in the new budget, he will have a community officer for the district? If that's okay, then he don't have to answer. If he indicates that, that's fine with me.
If there are no further supplementaries, we'll move on to the next question.
The elected member for Northside to ask the Honourable Minister of Community Affairs, Youth and Sports, question number 29.
I recognize the Honorable Member from Northside.
Madam Speaker, I beg to ask Honourable Minister of Community Affairs, Youth and Sports the following question. Can the Honourable Minister give a report of the recent audit of those persons receiving the Seaman's ex gratia monthly allowance, and how many, if any, unqualified persons were receiving the allowance?
Honorable Minister.
Madam Speaker, the answer. The most recent audit carried out by the Office of the Auditor General entitled Government Programs Supporting Those in Need, May 2015, included the ex gratia benefits to seamen. The objective of this audit was to determine whether social assistance programs are strategically managed to achieve the intended results and are delivered with due regard for value for money. This audit was a performance audit and did not identify the exact number of unqualified persons that were receiving the benefits. The Ministry has been carefully reviewing the relevant recommendations related to the Seaman's ex gratia benefit and developing an implementation plan to address the identified concerns. This includes biannual seaman continuation confirmation certificates, which is a mechanism to verify the details of recipients to determine if they continue to meet the approved criterion. Additionally, as information is brought to the attention of the Ministry, we will investigate and deal with the matter accordingly.
Member from Northside.
Through you, Madam Speaker, I am aware of the Auditor General's recent report. But as I recall, during Finance Committee, the Ministry and his staff promised that they were going to conduct a review of the Seaman's ex gratia and to determine whether the persons on the list were entitled and met the criteria. That's the audit that I'm asking about, not the Auditor General. That's public information.
Honorable Minister.
Misunderstanding there, Madam Speaker. That is ongoing, and we actually will have a paper before Cabinet next week that we've been working on for some time with the new criteria. Okay, and hopefully that will resolve a lot of the members' concerns and other members. Okay, thanks.
There being no further supplementary, we'll move to the next item of business.
The elected member for East End to ask Honorable Attorney General, ex officio member responsible for legal affairs, question number 30.
I recognize the member from East.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, question number 30 is standing, and my name is asked of the Honorable Attorney General. Can the Honorable ex officio member A, state how many foreign students attending the Truman Bodden Law School have been granted permission to register articles by Cabinet since 2005, and B, provide names and circumstances under which such exemptions were granted?
Is the honorable member responsible for legal affairs, the Attorney General?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, the answer. Our research has shown that 19 foreign students attending the Truman Bodden Law School were granted permission to register articles since 2005 to present. The names and circumstances under which the exemptions were granted, Madam Speaker, are written here. 11 were granted as a result of Caymanian connections through marriage. 2 were granted as a result of impending marriages to Caymanians. 2 were granted on the basis of Caymanian family connections. 2 permanent residents and ties to the community. 1 was granted based on strong connection to the community in the Cayman Islands. And 1 was granted as a result of residency and work in the islands. Madam Speaker, the names. Khatija Sharif was granted permission in 2006 by virtue of connection through what was then impending marriage to a Caymanian. Mrs. Christiana Bodden was granted permission in 2006, Caymanian connection through marriage. Mr. Ibrahim Alder, 2007, Caymanian connection through marriage to a Caymanian. Marlene Swanson, Nee Bovell, 2007, Caymanian connection through marriage to Caymanian. Sharon Nelson, applicant's connection to Ireland since 2001, study and employment. Michelle Bullmore, 2007, Caymanian connection through marriage. Kanika Green, 2007 as well, Caymanian connection through marriage to Caymanian. Tumala Salika, 2008, has Caymanian family connection, and there was a specific determination made that no Caymanian would have been displaced from the position if approval is granted. Pravahita Namburi, 2008, Caymanian connection through marriage to Caymanian. Mr. Ruknarayan Todd Diosaran, Caymanian connection through impending marriage to a Caymanian. Mr. Alva Bab, 2008, strong connection to community in the Cayman Islands. Mrs. Sarah Macfield, 2010, Caymanian connection through marriage to Caymanian. Mr. Richard Borrow, 2011, Caymanian connection through marriage to a Caymanian and work in the community. Mistress Audrey Rankin, Nikwan, I think. 2012, Caymanian connection through marriage to a Caymanian. Mr. Vaughn Carter, 2012, permanent resident and ties to the community. Dr. Letitia Bush, 2013, Caymanian connection through marriage to Caymanian. Mr. Shireen Mullins, 2013, Caymanian connection through marriage to Caymanian. Bridget Tomasic, 2015, ties to community and permanent residency. And Nikita Hugh, 2015, close Caymanian family connection and permanent residency.
Member from Easton.
Madam Speaker, I don't want to question anything about marriage to Caymanian, permanent residency. Those are, I can't do anything about that. I will not do anything about that. But there are a few on here. Sharon Nelson, applicant's connection to Ireland since 2001, study and employment. What does that have to do with giving an exemption to study to be a lawyer and then possible to practice in this country? And the other one is Tumala Solika, has Caymanian family connection. What is that? And Alva Bob whatever, strong connection to community in the Cayman Islands and close family connection. In the scheme of things, and Madam Speaker, I know they got to come back and say that these were done during 2005, 2009, and I was supporting everyone else. I want collect what? I'll collect my books and leave.
Member.
Madam Speaker, what I want to know is what connection, what is the criteria that allows those to be exempted?
Honorable Attorney General.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. He asked about Solika, Nelson, and Bob. That's correct, member, I think. In respect of, sorry? Oh, Hugh, Nikita Hugh. Okay, thanks. Thank you, member. Miss Nikita Hugh, Madam Speaker, information shows that at the time when she was granted permission, she had resided in the Cayman Islands for 10 years, completed both her secondary and tertiary education in Cayman Islands. She was granted PR in 2011, naturalized in 2014. At the time, her mother had resided here for 20 years, and her status, her late father resided here for over 30 years, and that status. Mr. Alva Bab, at the time in 2008, he resided in the Cayman Islands for 11 years, employed in the RCIPS. He and his wife owned a home in the Cayman Islands, had a son and here. His wife was employed at the HSA, had applied for PR in 2006, and was still awaiting a response in 2008. And my understanding, Madam Speaker, is that he has since left the island and is now a practicing attorney in Barbados. In respect of, in respect of Sharon Nelson, she worked at a local law firm since 2001. She was granted permission in 2007 to do articles and had strong recommendations from her employer at the time. And I'm also told, Madam Speaker, that she has since been granted status. And in respect of Tumala Solika, she's an Indian citizen, granted consent in 2006 to do her PPC. Her connection was through her uncle, a naturalized Caymanian who had lived in Cayman Islands over 25 years. And I'm told, Madam Speaker, from all intent and purpose, was her real guardian. And she lived with him other than when she was studying abroad. She has always been living with him.
Member from Easton.
Madam Speaker, thank you. Madam Speaker, that one in particular, I know, was only called to the bar recently. This year, as a matter of fact, 3 months ago, maybe. I'm asking if that one, who got it in 2008, was called to the bar recently.
Honorable Attorney General.
Madam Speaker, my recollection is that she was called within a year. I'm not sure. I'd have to check the records. But my recollection is that she has been called within the last 12 months.
Member from Easton.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, my question is, 2008 to 2015 tells me that's 7 years. Is that the length of time it takes to do articleship for certain things?
Honorable Attorney General.
Madam Speaker, I don't know the circumstances. All I can say is that articles usually takes 18 months to be completed, unless there's an abridgment.
Member from Eastern.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, can the Attorney General tell us what was this individual doing in this country for 7 years when it only required 18 months? And what status did they have during that period?
Honorable Attorney General.
Madam Speaker, the first part of the question clearly is an immigration issue, which I wouldn't vouch to be able to speak to. But my understanding, Madam Speaker, is that she worked as a paralegal with a number of law firms. Law firms during that period.
Member from Eastern.
Madam Speaker, and this is a question, a genuine question to the Attorney General. I'm not trying to be facetious. For once, anyway. Madam Speaker, when these things or these exemptions are granted, in particular this case, where the person is not resident, not married to Caymanian or impending marriage, who watches over those people to see to it that they attend to that exemption that they were given within articleship, within the 18 months as per the requirement of it? Who attends to those people? The one that close Caymanian connection and that kind of stuff. Who attends to that?
If I understand it,
Honorable Attorney General.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I'm sorry. If I understand the honourable member correctly, he's wondering whether there is a sort of monitoring process to find out whether these articles are being served. Madam Speaker, the role of the cabinet is to grant consent. Once consent is granted, it becomes an issue of employer-employee between the article clerk and the principal, whichever firm or attorney that is. The cabinet's role basically is at an end, and the rest of it becomes an immigration issue. I can't be of any more assistance, but usually that's how it works.
Madam Speaker, I'm a little confused, but...
Member from Eastern.
Thank you. I'm a little confused.
So am I.
Yes, because I will...
But for probably two different reasons. I'm just looking at the year of the grant. So I just, based on the prerequisites for asking questions under the standing order, I just want to make sure it's not an abuse of the question, that the fact that you're asking the questions mean that you were not present in cabinet at this time.
Madam Speaker, I just said that to you, then I'm going to say that. But I didn't support her.
I'm just asking because I want to make sure that
I
the chair is not accused that it's an abuse of questioning.
Since you asked now, Madam Speaker, let me tell you
Please do.
that it was brought to cabinet. I objected to it. It was withdrawn, then were brought back when I went on vacation. You need it, you got it.
Member from Eastern, please continue. I'm grateful for the elucidation.
Bring it up, man. Madam Speaker, what I'm confused about, now that I clarified yours, please let me get mine. What I'm confused about, Madam Speaker, is that there are special circumstances under which a foreign student would be given the authority to do articleship. They're on student visa. Those special circumstances are attached to the school, the Truman Bodden School. If it's Caymanian, they don't need to be attached to the school, but it is a requirement of the school before the school can sign off on them to be called to the bar. Who watches over the foreign students? Because it's a completely different circumstance from the Caymanian being watched over. There's no need because they're attached to that. But it's a requirement of isn't it a requirement of, by law of the school? If you want to be qualified lawyer in Cayman?
Honorable Attorney General.
Madam Speaker, I think the honourable member is conflating a number of different issues. Student requires student visa to attend the law school. Once that student graduates from the law school, they're no longer on a student visa. The period that they serve in articles is an issue for work permit, nothing to do with that, with visa. So the law school doesn't monitor that aspect of it. Once cabinet grant the permission to do articles, the cabinet doesn't say who the person must do that articles with, and so on. That's not a role for cabinet. That's a matter for the employer, employee, and the immigration department. Nothing to do with the law school thereafter.
Member from Easton.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, can I ask the Attorney General if he has followed up on these cases? Because he has a director of the school here, and obviously the school involved. And if he knows now whether in the currency of that agreement, which took 7 years, because I would assume Cabinet kept renewing it, the currency of it anyway, has there been a further status update on this individual within the legal profession? That is, to stay in pending marriage, marriage status, 2003, whatever the case may be.
Honorable Attorney General.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. What the person would have gotten is one consent, initial consent from cabinet to do articles. It is not unusual sometimes, I think, as might be the case with this particular case, where there was an issue, or might have been an issue with the article clerk and our initial employer or principal, and to switch firm to continue the articles. In that case, all the person would require is the approval of the Attorney General to switch principal, but nothing to do with work permit or student visa. That's a completely separate issue. So we would look at the new terms and conditions, agree that they fit into the legal practitioners' regulations, and approval would have been granted for articles. Has nothing to do with remaining on the island. That's a matter for immigration, and the consent from cabinet doesn't necessarily bind the immigration department in terms of whether or not the person is allowed to remain here.
Member from Easton, I love you. 2 more supplementaries.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I will go on there, but since he opened the door, you know now I don't need to push it. He's opened it. I wonder how many, and that's where I was going. How many times has the Attorney General office in 8 years, 7 years, approved change of articleship? Location of principle.
Honorable Attorney General.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. May I just go back on the initial answer? I am advised, Madam Speaker, that in this case, what was happening is that she might have been serving articles between 2 small firms. So one might not have been able to provide all the relevant seats. So that was broken up between 2 firms. In respect of how many times I've granted approval for a person to switch principal, I don't have the numbers, Madam Speaker, but my recollection, it would have been in the last 10 years, probably 3 or 4 times.
Madam Speaker,
Member from Easton.
3 or 4 times to get 18 months in, something wrong with that. as a bad employer or people dumb. Madam Speaker, I'm talking about the same lady. Madam Speaker, that's since 2008. Madam Speaker, no. Since you said this is my last question. Madam Speaker, the Attorney General must review those who are being called to the bar and their qualifications. Is he satisfied that this lady, having been called recently to the bar, qualifies to be called to the bar in this country, being whether she's Caymanian now or foreigner?
Honorable Attorney General.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The honorable members of the Attorney General has to review qualification of persons who are being called to the bar to ensure that. Madam Speaker, I don't have any such role. So I'm not aware of that. So in this circumstance, I would know. All that happens is that once a person completes her articles, her principal would sign off, whoever the principal is, whichever firm or attorney, would sign off on a letter to say that the person has completed her period of articles satisfactorily. And based on that, the person would be issued with a an alternate law certificate, usually from the chairman of the Legal Advisory Council. And that would then allow the person to then apply to be called to the bar. And that is entirely a matter for the Grand Court and his principal. The Attorney General is not involved in that process at all.
Madam
Member
Speaker,
from Easton, that was the
I'm
last
most
question.
I'm most thankful.
Do you have
to
a mitigating factor why you
Yes.
need to allow another one?
Yes, Madam Speaker, when you hear it, you will. Can I ask the Attorney General if he is not the authority, the principal, if you would like that, who approves foreign workers to work in this country to oversee whether or not they had the 3 years PQE, I think it is, PQE before they can be called? And can we say if that's the case in this instance?
Honorable Attorney General.
That's correct, Madam Speaker. If persons are applying for a work permit, a foreign attorney is applying for a work permit, the Attorney General is the prescribed authority who would receive a copy of the application from the Immigration Department. The Immigration Department we would then look at the person's qualification and the person's standing. So, for example, we'd look to see whether the person qualifies under Section 3 of the Legal Practitioners Law, whether the person, someone who's called and entitled to practice in a Commonwealth country, and whether the person is in good standing for disciplinary proceedings, admin struck officer, etc. And we approve those. Once that is in order, those are in order, we approve that and revert to the Immigration Department. Similarly, Madam Speaker, in case of certainly in respect of persons who lives here and who are not Caymanian and would require a work permit, we would do the same thing. But of course, if the persons are Caymanian, then that doesn't apply. I don't remember.
I recognize the third elected member from the District of West Bay.
Madam Speaker, through you, having sat on the Immigration Board one time for a period of almost 5 years, the deputy governor kind of led me along the way when I first went there. And is it only in this legal section? Because I know the law in his section when I was there, because I have a helper, or a lady who took care of my mother. She's going to get married. She has an impending marriage next October to a Caymanian, but her work permit is up in March. So I can get a RERC because she has an impending marriage. So you're telling me that because someone is has an impending situation, we're granting stuff to people and we don't know what's going to happen in the middle? We got this lady getting through 7 years? 7 years. She must have been good at something with someone. But is this in the legal section? We can do things pending? Granting stuff for a pending? Is this a regular thing in the legal section, sir?
Honorable Attorney General.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, the way the system works is that when an application is made for consent, a cover letter usually sent along with the application through the director to the AG. We do a cabinet paper, append all of that information to the cabinet paper and take it to cabinet. It is a cabinet decision, it's not the Attorney General's decision. Under the law, the Attorney General cannot grant or deny. Whether agrees with it or not, I still have to take it to cabinet. Cabinet would have examined all the facts. If they require further information, they would ask. I would request that from the applicant through the director. And based on all the circumstances, cabinet would make a decision whether or not to grant or to refuse. In this case, they would have been satisfied that there was an impending marriage and that there would have been probably a sufficient stable relationship. And based on that, they would have granted it. My understanding is that in the end, the person, they did in fact get married. So cabinet obviously was of the view that this was stable enough and a sufficient connection to justify the grant.
I recognize the third elected member from West Bay.
Madam Speaker, can the Attorney General state, are Caymanians still having problems getting their articles?
Honorable Attorney General.
Madam Speaker, I am aware that there are persons who are still seeking to get articles and might have not been able to do so for any number of reasons. And so, but the numbers I'm not aware of. What I can say is that certainly in recent years, significant accommodation have been made and persons have been granted, any number of persons have been granted articles. So I don't have a number, but I do know that there's a couple who are still trying to obtain articles.
Thank you.
Third elected member from West Bay.
Thank you, Madam Speaker.
There being no further supplementaries, Madam Clerk, can we move on to the other item of business?
Statements by the honorable members and ministers of the cabinet.
None.
Personal explanations.
None.
Obituaries and other ceremonial speeches.
None.
Raising of matters of privileges.
None. The House will now take a 5-minute suspension. Members, please remain in your seat.